we sued several months ago for the Epstein files at this point. The government's answer was due last week, and we asked the FBI and DOJ, give us Epstein files, and plus give us records about your handling of the Epstein files from Kash and Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. And the response has been to not give us one document yet. We've been critical of I wouldn't say critical, we've been concerned about the FBI's new leadership, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. And our concern is that they don't seem to be taking the steps that, at least in my view, they should be taking to clean up corruption in the FBI. And I would just completely cut back the agency, do mass firings, not very incremental moves as they seemingly have been doing. I haven't seen any information to suggest that doing a broad-based criminal investigation of the lawfare against Trump, certainly their position on transparency, hasn't changed in practice as it relates to Judicial Watch and the Freedom of Information Act. I mean, we just sued last week, we sued several months ago for the Epstein files at this point. The government's answer was due last week, and we asked the FBI and DOJ, give us Epstein files, and plus give us records about your handling of the Epstein files from Kash and Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. And the response has been to not give us one document yet. And they cited, I think, extraordinary circumstances or exceptional circumstances as justification for not giving us material yet. And they haven't told us or the court when they're going to turn over the Epstein files. And that's just one example of lack of transparency under law by the FBI. And I'm sorry, you don't need, quote, time to comply with the law. We're not asking them to build, I do think they should be pursuing cases. This isn't an issue about whether they have time to build a case. No, this is an issue about whether they're going to actually follow the FOIA law every day, in every way. And my colleague, Micah Morrison, who writes the investigative bulletin over at Judicial Watch, again, another reason to go to our website, had a really excellent piece, and it's called FBI's Patel and Bongino Hostages of the Deep State. And it's a nice piece. You can tell, I shouldn't say nice piece, it's a fair piece to them. And we note in the beginning here, Kash and Dan have been stalwart allies of the conservative movement and good friends of Judicial Watch for many years. Judicial Watch applauded their appointments as director and deputy director of the FBI, and expectations were high. And so Micah quoted, our support of him, of at least Kash's appointment there. But later in the piece, Micah notes, veteran Washington reformers like Fitton, me, understand that Patel's time for true change is limited. The deep state, the forces of inertia, and the political calendar are all working against him. These days, as well, conservative insiders are alarmed by mounting signs that Patel and Bongino have been taken hostage by the deep state, that they've been taken hostage by the deep state consensus and are failing to bring meaningful changes to the FBI. And so, we just go through jot and tittle what the FBI has and hasn't been doing in terms of accountability and such. And it's not to say they haven't been doing some good things. There's obviously some good things they're going to be doing. I mean, Dan and Kash are generally good guys. There's no doubt about it. But on these big picture issues, they're a little bit behind, to put it charitably. As we say at the end of the piece, doubtless, Bondi, Patel, and Bongino have their hands full managing the day-to-day affairs of their giant bureaucracies. Conservatives still wish them well. But time is running out, and the president who promised to, quote, demolish the deep state is watching from the White House. So my guess is Trump is wondering too, or at least I would be if I were him, they will not be forgiven for bungling an historic opportunity. That's pretty strong stuff, but it's true. Everything's riding on it. I mean, they tried to destroy, these agencies tried to destroy our republic, and nothing's been done, as best I can tell, that effectively holds them accountable for that. And I was talking about this issue with our friend Steve Bannon on the War Room the other day. Let's go to that videotape. Well, you know, on the foreign policy issues you raise, I'm more hawkish than you are, but I think we would both agree that the deep state's approach to Ukraine, Russia, and Iran is not to solve any problems, it's to manage problems, right? And, you know, Biden didn't want Russia to win, but they also didn't want Russia to lose, which to me is a wild abuse of the citizens caught up in a war like that. And same thing with Iran. Either we want them to have nukes or we don't. Let's not manage their nuclear program. We're not in a position to do so. And that's what the deep state specializes in, creating problems that have to be managed rather than solved. And I know that's not Trump's general approach. Now, on these issues related, though, to the agencies themselves, I'm not quite sure why we still have a CIA, given their failures, their documented record of failures over the decades. There's not a darn thing the CIA does that the military agencies can't do, the intelligence agencies can't and shouldn't, and certainly the State Department can take up a lot of the slack as well. And, you know, my colleague Micah Morrison had a really strong analysis of the situation that Kash and Don are in, that Dan are in the FBI. You know, are they? You know, the title was, "Are they hostages of the deep state?" And I think there's a strong argument that they're hostages of the deep state consensus. And on top of that, as Micah points out in the piece, you've got the inertia of just bureaucracies. You've got the political calendar, and in many ways, in my view, they're distracted from their core responsibility, I think, which is to dismantle the FBI and protect the republic. I mean, the left tried to kill President Trump last year. They tried to throw him in jail. They've been fomenting an insurrection. We had right now a political leader of the Democratic Party, a senator from California, assault law enforcement as he was disrupting a press briefing. They're putting the country on the precipice. And, you know, I would submit this insurrection, it's the other side of the coin to the lawfare against Trump. And you give these folks an inch, they will take a mile. And it's about protecting the republic in the end. And the FBI is an instrumentality of those who would destroy the republic. And Dan and Kash may be running it for now, but organizationally and institutionally, I don't think they're redeemable. And in the least, you know. I mean, I actually watch it strangely in a disinterested way. Oh, I agree with me. I often say, because you know, are my comments making sense to me as I think about them even later? They are. It's concerning. I mean, in the least, we're not even getting responses properly to our FOIA requests. They're still stonewalling and stalling. But we have a case. I really don't remember the detail, and because I haven't done the prep on it for a discussion with you, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. So, you know, we're essentially we're asking the FBI. We sued for their FOIA. We sued under FOIA for their censorship records with Twitter and social media. And there's key information Kash and Dan's FBI are withholding from us, and we're going to have to go to court next week and fight about. They don't want to talk about the Biden administration's internal deliberations related to the censorship of Americans. And no, it's not because they're building a case. It's because the agency takes the position we don't have a right to see it because, oh, if we release the records about our internal discussions, that might chill further deliberations, future discussions. We want people to be open and honest. That's the sort of crap we have to put up with. And I'm frankly tired of it. I thought we were going to have a change in pace, a change in approach. Evidently not. So I want the FBI to arrest bad guys. I want the FBI to do the job they're being paid to do. But do I trust the FBI institutionally? I do not. Do I think it should remain? I do not. Heck, they can't give us one Epstein document. Not one. It's been months. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. I mean, I could go through dozens of requests, literally, dozens of lawsuits against the Justice Department and the FBI, which have not changed one bit since the Attorney General and Kash took over. I tell you, if Trump knew the scope of it, he'd go ballistic. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.